If you're just in the process of setting up your mat and your space, take your time. There's no rushing in yoga. But I'm really glad that you've made the effort to come to class tonight. Welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Amanda McIntyre, and this is the Ollie Beginning Yoga class. And this is a class that has been offered, since March, free and online through YouTube to folks who are part of Ollie and who are all over the country. Tonight is our last night of this free opportunity, and I'm incredibly grateful to Continuing in Distance Education, to the Ollie program, to the wonderful tech folks who've been helping me make all these classes come to life for you during this time. If this is something that you're really enjoying and you'd like to continue to take my yoga classes, please go to the Ollie website and sign up. Registration is open now, and we'll be starting classes on Wednesday nights right after Labor Day. And the class will be from 5:30 to 6:30. The difficulty level is very similar to what we're offering up here, but it's going to be in a Teams format rather than on YouTube, so we'll have an opportunity to chat before and after class. So that should be pretty great. I really hope that you'll consider signing up and continuing with me, or checking out all the other great offerings that Ollie has in store for folks this fall from a distance. So really glad that you're here tonight. As I mentioned, this is a beginning class, so this is for folks who are new to yoga. I offer up a lot of modifications, and I'm expecting that you're going to do what it is that you can tonight during this hour together. And that might look different than what you thought you could do, what yesterday looked like. So be really good to yourself and do whatever it is that you need to protect your body, to get the most out of this class. And if that means taking Shavasana right now, go for it. Good for you. And if that means, hanging out deeper in forward fold or something like that, that's also a great thing to do as well. But I'm so glad that you're here for this final class of this series. And as I was putting the class together, I'm thinking, what would be a send-off to my yoga friends as we move into the fall? And we've done some classes about strength and some classes about engagement, but tonight I really wanted us to focus on the core. The core of our body, just to show you real quick, oftentimes people think that our core is just our belly muscles, like right here. But in fact, the core is from below the pecs all the way down the front of the body, the side of the body, and down the back. So it's all these muscles right along here. It also includes your glutes and the muscles that go down along the sides of the thighs. So when all of these muscles are engaged together, it's the strongest muscle group that you have in your body. So it isn't about, sometimes folks think that engaging your abdominals or strengthening your core is like trying to put on your skinny jeans, where you suck it in and try to go like this. And this is actually not engaging the muscles at all. It's getting the air out of your lungs and then sucking it in. So tonight we're going to work on strengthening all of these different muscles in the core. So I mentioned it's really the largest grouping of muscles in the body. It's the strongest grouping of muscles. And it's the grouping of muscles that creates stability for us. It allows us to sit upright and have a nice tall posture. It allows us to move forward in space, to be able to bend over at the waist. The muscles of the core, just like all the muscles in the body, but specifically in the core, they are layers upon layers of different types of muscle. Some is smooth, some is not smooth. They go in all different kinds of directions. And so that's part of why when I'm teaching yoga, I always talk about creating stability from the center. So thinking about the center of your body like the core of a tree, with the muscles being the rings growing out from the inside. And so when we're looking for strength and stability, engaging in the middle first, and then bringing everything in around it. So we'll work on that a little bit tonight as well. So core strength and engaging the core creates stability. That helps us with balance. So when we're starting to get unsteady, when we engage those abdominal muscles, that's how we keep ourselves upright. And another huge component of core strength both having core strength and also engaging in using the strength that you have, is injury prevention. So oftentimes we end up with injuries in our shoulders, our wrists, our knees, our ankles, because we're putting too much weight or we're asking too much of those joints or of those muscle groups, when actually we could be using the power of our core to then lighten the load on the wrists, the shoulders, the hips, etc. So we'll explore that a little bit as we go through our practice together. In the yoga philosophy, the core is associated with the third chakra. And a chakra or a chakra is an energy center in the body. The third chakra is right around your solar plexus, which conveniently is right where this guy's head is on my shirt. And this is the place where oftentimes we're working on trying to create strength physically. But in the yoga philosophy, this is the source of our own personal power. This is where our will comes from. It's also where our confidence and our self-esteem comes from. So if we're starting to become weak in this area, whether it's physically, whether it's spiritually or emotionally, perhaps we're not feeling as confident or as strong or like we have as much personal power as we actually do. When we strengthen and tap into the third chakra, strengthen these muscles, that's when we're more upright. We feel stronger physically. We feel stronger energetically. So let's see if there's something to that as we go through our practice tonight. Let's begin by finding a comfortable seat, whatever that looks like for you. And you can sit with your legs crossed or be on your knees. And if you need to adjust your seat from the beginning, like I just did, feel free to do so. But make sure that the weight is evenly distributed between both of your hips. And then engage your abdominal muscles a little bit. So pull in at the low belly, tuck the ribs down. We'll talk more about that later. But engage these muscles along the torso to help you sit up nice and tall. And remember, your legs can be doing whatever is comfortable for your lower body. So legs can be crossed. They can be straight out in front of you. You can have a knee bent, or you can switch it up. The crown of your head, which is the tippy top of your head, is extending up towards the ceiling. Your shoulders are relaxed down on your back. The chin is parallel to the floor, and the muscles of your face are nice and soft. So we're sitting up nice and tall here in Sukhasana or easy pose. And I invite you to take your hands and place them on right around the solar plexus. So it's just above the belly button, a little bit below the ribs. And you can have one hand stacked on top of the other. And we're going to begin our practice by exploring what's called Kaplabati Breath. In some practices, it's called fire breathing. In others, it's called skull shining. And before you do it, I'll demonstrate it, and we can do it together. But it is a sucking in or pressing in towards the diaphragm in order to express air out. And naturally, when we do that, there's a vacuum that allows us to inhale. So I'll show you. And we're using abdominal muscles here. So it's a pulling in at the belly and exhaling through the nose. So it's something like this. So as I'm doing this, I'm sitting up tall. There's movement going on in my stomach. I'm pumping, pulling in at the muscles as I'm pressing air out the nose. And when I do that, naturally I'm breathing back in. So there should be no effort in getting air back into the lungs because you're pressing it out and then there's this natural vacuum that's created. This breathing exercise, which is a pranayama exercise, strengthens the walls of the muscles in the stomach, helps with breathing, helps with relaxation, and gets you a little bit fired up. So hands are over the solar plexus. We're going to exhale through the nose using the muscles of the stomach. Here we go. You can let that go and close your eyes. And just notice what your body feels like. Maybe you were able to get into the groove with it. Maybe you were still kind of figuring out the mechanics. But notice what your abdominals feel like. Notice what your head feels like. Keeping your eyes closed, place your hands on your knees or thighs. And begin to connect to your breath, seeing if you can bring it back to normal, whatever that might be for you. And then once you've found what you think might be normal, we'll do some deep belly breathing. So on your next inhale, the belly expands. The ribs lift as your lungs expand. The chest lifts. So you breathe all the way to the top of the lungs. Once everything is full of air, slowly exhale, letting the chest drop, letting the lungs relax, pulling the belly in towards the bottom of the breath till all the CO2 is out. And then repeat, inhaling, filling the belly with air, filling the middle torso, letting the chest rise as the lungs fill and expand. Once you reach the very top of the breath and there's no more room, take your time exhaling, letting the chest fall, pulling the belly in. Just take a couple more rounds of this slow belly breathing, starting from the very bottom of the stomach, working your way up to the top of the lungs. After your next full exhale, bring your palms together in prayer position in front of your heart. Still sitting up nice and tall, staying engaged through the belly. And we'll begin our practice together by chanting the sound of Ohm. And we're going to just chant it one time, as softly or as loudly as you'd like. Take a full exhale. And a deep inhale for Ohm. Release your hands and gently let your eyes start to flutter open, letting the light back in as you keep sitting up nice and tall. Take your right fingertips to the floor behind you, left hand to the opposite knee for a gentle twist. And if your hand doesn't quite reach the floor, you can place it at the low back. Gently unwind through center and over to the other side. Left hand comes behind you, right hand is on the opposite knee. Exhale to unwind back to center. If you're sitting on a block or a blanket, you can remove it as we come to a seat. You're going to bend your knees with the feet placed flat on the floor, and then your hands are going to come behind you with the fingertips pointing towards your body. So that means the heels of your hands are pointing towards the back of the mat. I've got my shoulders lined up over my wrists. Core is slightly engaged, so I'm pulling in at the belly. From here, press into the feet, lift the hips up for a reverse tabletop. So I'm trying to get my torso as flat as possible, aligned with my knees. I'm looking up straight towards the ceiling, so do your best to avoid letting the head fall backwards. And really think about pressing into the feet, lifting the hips up, so that's engaging through the glutes and the belly. On an exhale, gently lower your hips back down to the mat and straighten the legs out in front of you. Hands stay in the same position. Nice and strong. Once again, strong in the core, strong in the glutes. Press into the hands, lift the hips up. This is a reverse plank pose. Again, neck and spine are in alignment. If you're only able to get a little space between your hips and the floor, or you're still working on that, good job. Just keep trying to engage the muscles, lifting the hips. And then everyone gently lower your hips back down to the floor and come to an upright seat. Bend both knees, feet are flat on the mat, and bring your hands behind your thighs as you sit up nice and tall. Pull in the lower belly, so that's the part that's below the belly button, and also tuck your ribs here in order to get some engagement through the core. Keep the shoulders relaxed, back is nice and long. As you exhale, we'll gently tip back and see if you can get your feet off of the floor for boat pose or Navasana. A lot of folks think that boat pose is a balancing posture, and while there is certainly a balancing element to it, it's all about the core. If you can, bring your shins to parallel. And if you want an added challenge, maybe free your hands from behind your thighs. But remember, this is all a practice. So if you're working on getting your feet off of the mat, or you're holding onto the backs of your thighs and you're not going to let go, perfect. You do what works best for you. Make sure you're breathing and using your own body wisdom. Part of strength, part of that personal power, part of our willpower is making those choices for ourselves. And they're not always easy, but that's part of why we do this practice, is to help us. All right, exhale and release that, coming to a cross-legged seat. Work your way onto all fours in a tabletop position. So we're going to align the shoulders over the wrists and the hips over the knees. Knees are hips width apart, hands are shoulder width apart. And on an inhale, you're going to tip the pelvis, drop the belly and chest as you look up towards the ceiling. On an exhale, you're going to pull the navel in, round the low back, round the shoulders, tuck the chin for cat pose. Inhaling again, tip the pelvis, drop the belly and chest as you look up. Cow pose. Exhale, pull the belly in, round the spine, press into the hands, tuck the chin. And do a couple more of these in your own time and in your own breath. Really thinking about staying engaged in those muscles that I described around the abdomen. So around the belly, around the sides, around the low back, through the glutes. And after your next exhale, which is cat pose, come back to a neutral spine, flat back. And then strong and steady, extend your right arm directly out in front of you. Pull in at the low belly. Tuck the ribs just a little bit so you're nice and strong through the core. And then on an inhale, extend your left leg directly behind you. Toes are off of the mat. Your left foot is at hip height. And you're flexing that lifted foot towards the back of the room. Now, keeping this just like it is without moving the spine, without doing anything more to the core, just bring your elbow and knee to meet under the body. And you'll notice that you can stay really stable through the center body and move just the arm and leg. But you're not getting a lot of core action here. So extend the arm and leg out nice and tall and long, and then think about this cat-cow that we just did. And on an exhale, bring the elbow and knee to meet under the body. Pull the belly in, round the spine, tuck the core. As you inhale, take your time extending the arm and leg out nice and long, using all those muscles of the core. Let's do that again. Exhale, bring the elbow and knee to meet, round the spine, pull the navel in, strong through the glutes. Inhale, and find length. All right, one more time. Exhale. These are called yoga crunches. I'll be pulling in at the belly, strong in the arm and leg. Exhale to extend. And then lower your hand and knee down to the floor. And take any movements that might feel good for you here. So that might be giving your wrists a break, doing some hip circles. And when you're ready, come back to all fours. Now, remember, if your wrists are feeling rather tender here, you can always walk your hands forward a little bit of the shoulders to create a wider angle in the wrists. Or you can also fold up the edge of your mat and elevate the heels of your hands. So I'm going to try that on this side. So nice and strong and steady. Press into the right hand as you extend the left arm straight out in front. Engage the abdominals, so pull in at the low belly. Feel some engagement around the low back as you do that. Ribs are tucked in. Exhale, extend the right leg directly behind you. Think about hugging everything into the middle and this idea of stabilizing core. So everything is going from the center ring all the way out, hugging nice and tight. As you exhale, we're going to bring the elbow and knee to meet under the body, round the spine, pull the belly in. Inhale to lengthen, extending the arm and leg. Are you still strong in the belly? Tuck it in. Exhale, elbow and knee meet as you round the spine. You're trying to create space beneath the body by pulling the belly button in. Inhale to extend. One more time. Exhale, round the spine. Tuck the chin, pull the elbow and knee in. Inhale and reach nice and long. Nice job. Lower your hand and knee back down to the floor. Again, take any motions that you need to that will feel therapeutic for your body. And you can join me in a child's pose when you're ready. We're moving the hips back towards the heels. Fingertips are extended up towards the top of your mat. We're trying to lengthen the spine in this posture. On an inhale, come on up to tabletop. Walk the knees back a couple of inches. Tuck your toes. Get nice and strong in the belly. Press into the hands and lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. So your hands are shoulder width apart. Your feet are hips distance apart. You're pressing into the hands as the hips move up and back. And there should be space between your heels and the floor because we're trying to lengthen the spine here. Engage your abdominal muscles, so pull the lower abs in, tuck the ribs, get strong in the glutes, and from here, see if you can hop your way up to the top of your mat. It might be difficult, it might not be pretty, or it might be awesome. So do your best using your abdominal muscles and end up in a forward fold here. Bring your hands to your hips, press into your feet, and come on up to standing. All right, nice job. Find yourself up at the top of your mat, and your feet are going to be hips distance apart and parallel as we try to find mountain pose or Tadasana here. All four corners of your feet are pressing into the mat, and we have the hips aligned over the knees, over the ankles, and in alignment with the second toe. I'm going to give you a little side view here as we work on engaging the core. So the legs are engaged. I'm hugging in at the shins. I'm engaged through the thighs. Let's get the rest of the abdominals. So little soft bend in the knees. And then you're going to stick your tailbone out, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, but the tailbone goes out as I pull the lower abdominals in. If you're not sure where those are, feel free to press on them to get some engagement. From here, I'm going to neutralize the low spine. So now I've got my tailbone more towards the floor, and I've got my ribs tucked in, nice and strong. All right, so I'm all locked in through the sides. From here, I'm going to straighten the legs, maintaining all this strength through the abdominals. And I'll turn forward for you to see from the front. Tadasana. Nice. Core is nice and strong. If you have difficulty, if you kind of fall out of it, you can always do that pelvic tilt again. From here, extend your arms straight out in front of you, pressing the palms towards me. And then take a look so that you're looking just a little bit up from your fingers, but straight ahead. So this is like a standing plank pose. If you're engaged through the core, if you've got your shoulders on the back and you're looking straight ahead, we've got a little standing plank action going on. Now, stay nice and strong in your abdominals and in your arms here. And as we inhale, reach the arms up overhead and come into a little bit of a back bend. So we're looking up towards the ceiling, the arms are widening, the chest is lifting. Now, as you're doing this, what's happening to the ribs and what's happening to the core? If you're really getting into it, your ribs are flaring. And that just means that they're kind of spreading out as you arch back. If your ribs are flaring, that means you've lost the engagement in your core. So come on back to center and tuck the ribs back in. You'll find that when your core is engaged, so I'll start here in my little plank, come on up. If your core stays engaged, your back bend might not be as far as you're used to. But when you're doing that, you're toning the muscles of the core, you're protecting your low back, you're protecting your hips and knees. It's pretty great. Inhale to come back to center. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Work your way back to plank, top of a push-up. Now, plank pose, we call this top of a push-up. You're familiar with what push-ups look like. And in plank, it's the version where the arms are straight. So we've got the shoulders over the wrists, the legs are straight, and the heels are lifted. Now, I often hear from my students that they don't have enough arm strength to do plank pose. And what I'm going to offer up is that plank pose is actually an abdominal posture. Certainly there's arm strength involved, but we're also working the core here. So come on down to your knees, and I'm going to give you a little demo of plank pose for you to be thinking about as we go through our practice. And I'm going to give you a side view, so hopefully you're able to check out what this might look like. So when we're coming into plank pose, we've got the hands shoulder width apart. We've got the shoulders aligned over the wrists. The legs are straight and the heels are lifted. And I'm looking out on the floor ahead of my hand so that my neck is in alignment with the spine. Now, a couple things can happen in plank pose. One is this move. Don't do this move. This is where the low back is sinking, the belly is sinking, and boy, is this not good for the low back, and there's a lot of weight that's going into the arms here. So this is one version that sometimes folks find themselves in. Another version is something like this. So it's more like in between down dog and plank. Now, if I had a preference, I'd rather see you here with your hips up in the air than the hips sinking, because you're more prone to injury with the hips sinking. But what we're looking for is a happy medium. So how do we find that? We do all that stuff we do when we're standing up in mountain pose. So check it out. We're getting into plank pose. Let's make sure that we've got the abdominals engaged. So I'm sticking my butt out, pulling in the lower abs. Then I'm scooping the pelvis so that I've got my tailbone towards my heels, my ribs are tucked in, just like I was in mountain pose. And all of a sudden, some of the weight comes off my wrists and off my arms and into my core. And sometimes you start to feel a little bit of that sacred shake going on because you're really working the muscles. So we're looking for something in between. If your hips need to be up a little bit, that's okay. Please avoid having the sinking hips and nice and strong through the core. So we're really pulling in at the belly, keeping the shoulders on the back. Okay, that's it for my demo. So now we get to do it together. That's pretty great. Find yourself on your mat, on your hands and knees. Shoulders are over the wrists. Extend the legs behind you, coming up on the toes for plank pose. And then once again, think about pulling in the lower abs. If it helps to stick your butt up first, lifting the hips, pulling the abs in, and then scooping the tailbone, tucking the ribs. Do that. Nice. Keeping your hands and feet where they are. Move your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Pedal your feet out a little bit here, alternating, moving each heel a little bit closer to the floor. Nice. Come to stillness. Once again, exhale, glide forward to plank, top of a push-up. When you get there, find your core strength. So pull in the low belly, tuck the ribs, get strong in the glutes. Now, using all that power in your core, leading with your hips, move yourself back to downward dog. So use the strength of your core rather than pressing the hands. Just see if you notice a difference there. Part of this yoga practice is about observation, experimenting to see what works for you. Walk your feet up towards your hands, coming to a forward fold at the top of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips, press into the feet, and come on up to standing. All right, nice job. Here we are, up at the top of the mat. If you're not there, make your way up and find yourself in mountain pose again. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Find abdominal engagement. So legs are active, lower belly is tucked in, ribs are tucked in, but you're standing nice and tall. I know there's a lot to it, but it works really effectively when you put it all together. Find your mountain. Are you nice and strong in the belly? If not, adjust. Inhale, float the arms up. Remember that little back bend we just did? So a little bit of a back bend, but keep the ribs tucked. And we're going to work our way into a sun salutation using all of this abdominal strength. So stay strong in the belly, exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Uttanasana. Step your right foot back to a lunge and make a connection between your fingers and the floor or a block, if that's helpful for you here. We've got the front knee aligned over the front ankle and the back leg is straight. Check in with your core. Are you still tucked in? Is the lower belly engaged? Are the ribs tucked? Are you nice and strong through the core so that really everything else, the limbs can move very freely? All right, Make your way back to plank. Top of a push-up. If you need to drop the knees first, you're welcome to do that. All right, core is tucked in. See what you can do to shift the weight off of the hands, wrists, and arms and into all of these strong muscles of the abdomen. From here, you can either lower down in one straight line, or you can join me in dropping the knees, pointing the toes. Stay strong in the belly as you lower the torso all the way down to the floor, one straight line. Nice. Hands are underneath your shoulders. Inhale, gently peel your chest up off the floor. And then exhale to lower back down. Take your right arm and bring it parallel to the front of your mat, and then prop yourself up so that you've got your shoulder aligned over the elbow. So you're sitting up nice and tall here. If you find that you're kind of down towards the floor, check out the elbow. Move it right underneath the shoulder so you're propped up. Nice. From here, roll onto your right hip. We're stacking both legs. We're moving ourselves into a modified side plank. If you're wondering where we're going, left hand is on the mat. Again, shoulder is over the elbow, strong, and the abdominal muscles press into the front arm. See if you can lift your hips up off the mat. Left hand can help. And if you want an additional modification, you can take your left foot and place it on the floor in front of you for a little added lift. So your legs can be stacked, or you can have the left foot on the floor in front of you. For an added challenge, you can float your left fingertips up towards the ceiling. And if you're still working on creating space between your right hip and the mat, good for you. Keep working on it. This is not an easy posture. Gently lower the hip back down, lower the hand, and come on back to your belly. Nice job. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes and think about this nice strong core, all right? So low belly tucked in, ribs tucked in, glutes nice and tight. On an exhale, make your way back to downward facing dog. You can go through plank, you can go through tabletop, but we're gonna end up in down dog. Nice and strong in the belly, so you're pulling in your abdominal muscles, hugging in at the outer thighs. And once again, we're gonna hop our way up to the top of the mat. And maybe it's one hop for you, maybe it's a bunch. Do the best that you can. Bend your knees, get your hips underneath you. As you inhale, sweep your arms wide, reaching the fingertips all the way up. Connect the palms and exhale to bring your hands to your heart. And then check in with yourself. What happened to your core? Is it still active and engaged? Have you forgotten about it at this point? This is part of why we're practicing it together, and we have a whole other side to do in our sun salutation. So find that tall, strong mountain with the engaged abdominal muscles, extending the crown of the head skyward. Inhale to float the arms up. A little bit of a back bend, keep the ribs tucked in. Exhale, hinge at the hips and swan dive all the way forward. This time we'll step the left foot back to a lunge. Back heel is lifted, front knee over the front ankle, and you can be using blocks or connecting to the floor here. Steady breath, nice long spine. What's going on with your abdomen? Are you tucked in, hugging in at all sides, squeezing into the center of the core of your tree? All right, make your way back to plank, top of a push-up. Remember, you're welcome to take a break at any time. You're welcome to hold plank longer if you'd like. Yogi's choice, but find that nice strong core here, again, like we do in mountain pose. So if you need to stick the hips up first and then do a tailbone scoop, you can do that. But really get the power and strength through the torso. All right. You're welcome to lower your body down in one straight line or drop the knees and point the toes. When you do that, stay strong in the core to lower the torso down in one straight line. Nice job. Hands are under the shoulders. Keep your feet grounded. Stay nice and strong in the belly. Squeeze through the glutes as you exhale. Gently peel the chest up off the mat. Exhale to release. This time, left forearm is parallel to the front of the mat. You'll roll onto your left hip. And again, check it out. Make sure that your shoulder is aligned right over the elbow. That's going to help you be nice and tall on your side here. Right hand comes to the floor in front of you. And remember, you can have your right foot connect to the mat or have the legs stacked. On an exhale, lift the hips up for a modified side plank or Vashisthasana. Remember, right leg can help you with a little elevation, and if you want to lift your right fingertips up towards the ceiling, you're welcome to do that. Stay strong in the core here. Come out of this whenever you need to. Exhale to release your hip and hand back down to the mat and come back onto your belly. Nice. All right. Hands are under the shoulders, toes are tucked. Engage your abdominal muscles. So pull in at the belly, tuck the ribs, squeeze the glutes. On an exhale, either through tabletop or plank, make your way back to downward facing dog. Use the power of your core to guide you so that your limbs are just a little extra added power. Everything's coming from the center. All right, take a look at your hands. Using the power of your core, hop your way up to the top of your mat, coming to a forward fold. Bend your knees. Inhale, reach your arms wide as you come all the way up. And hands come to heart center. Nice job. Find mountain pose one more time here, tall and strong. Inhale to float the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and swan dive all the way forward. Make your way back to downward facing dog. And remember, it's great to start out in plank and then move to down dog in order to align your hands and feet. So you're welcome to do that. But find yourself in a nice solid down dog. Core is engaged, so pull in at the belly. Make sure there's lots of strength in your low back and around the sides of the body. On an inhale, float your right leg up for three-legged dog. Now, three-legged dog, we've got the hip level, and this might be plenty for you. And if it is, work on hanging out in this down dog, take any motions that might feel good. If you want to take this to the next level with some abdominal work, on an exhale, we're going to glide forward to plank and bring the right knee to the right elbow. What? Yep. You're welcome to try it out. If you're like, no, this is a bad idea, you're welcome to come out of it. As you inhale, sweep the right leg up and back, downward dog. Now you can repeat what we just did or join me as you exhale, glide forward, bring the right knee to the left elbow. So that means the leg is coming under the body. You really have to hug in at the core to get the leg underneath there. Inhale, sweep the leg up and back, downward dog. You're welcome to take child's pose here if you want, or keep going with me. There's only one more direction to go. Exhale, glide forward, bring the knee towards the nose. This is sort of like we did with our tabletop extending. Inhale, reach the leg up and back. One more time. Oh my goodness. Exhale, lower the right foot back down. Bring your knees to the floor and take a child's pose. So keep the fingertips towards the top of the mat. Move the hips back and away from your neck. And give yourself some credit here for either trying this out, giving yourself a break, maybe modifying a little bit to make it more accessible for your body tonight. Thank goodness, only two sides, so we've got one more side to do. Make your way back up to downward facing dog, or you're welcome to stay in that child's pose if that was feeling pretty good. All right, so first, tap into your abdominals. Make sure your core is nice and strong. Lower abs tucked in, ribs tucked in. Really strong in the left leg, in the inner left thigh. Float the left leg up, three-legged dog. All right, as you exhale, you can either stay here or glide forward to plank, bringing the left knee to the left elbow. Inhale, sweep the leg up and back. Next, exhale, glide forward, bring the left knee to the right elbow. And if this doesn't feel accessible, you can go to the same elbow as before. You can stay in three-legged dog. Make this your own. Inhale to float the leg up and back. All right, one more time. This time, exhale, glide forward, knee comes towards nose comes towards the knee. Everything's nice and strong. Inhale to float the leg up and back once again. And lower the left toes down. Drop the knees to the mat, and once again, find yourself in a child's pose. And make this child's pose feel comfortable for your body, whether you need to move your wrists and fingers a little bit, move your hips, or just sink in and relax. On an inhale, make your way back to all fours in a tabletop position. Tuck your toes, move your hips up and back to downward facing dog, and then walk your feet in towards your hands so that you're at a forward fold at the top of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips. Be really steady and grounded in your feet. Engage your abdominal muscles once again, and using the strength of your core, lift your torso all the way up. All right, nice job. Okay, so we are in mountain pose up at the top of the mat. Gently take your right toes and just step them back just a little bit. So it's not a big lunge or anything, just a little gentle step back. You're still standing up nice and tall. Core is nice and strong. Bring your palms together at your heart. Get engaged in this front left leg. Get engaged in the core. So tucking the tailbone, tucking the ribs. Gently begin to shift your weight into the front foot and see if you can get your right foot off of the floor. We're working our way into Warrior 3, or Virabhadrasana 3, where the body is in the shape of a T, and you're balancing on one foot. Now, if your right toes are towards the floor, that's cool. Keep working on that. Stay strong in the abdomen. If you can get the foot lifted, flex through the right foot to keep the leg nice and straight and powerful. Hips stay level, core is strong, and you're looking down at the floor. You can have your palms together at your heart, or you can extend the arms out more like an airplane. If your arms are extended, bring your palms back together, and then gently come back up to standing, bringing the right toes back to the floor. Come on forward, shake it out a little bit, and then we'll switch sides. So, stand up nice and tall. Gently step your left toes back just a little bit. Bring your awareness to your right foot. Engage through the right foot, through the right leg. Core is nice and strong. On an exhale, start to shift your weight into the front foot, seeing if you can get space between your left foot and the mat. We're bringing the torso so that it's more parallel towards the floor. Be hugging in at the thighs and shin, squeezing in at the belly, hugging in the outsides of the thighs. And your palms can be together in prayer in front of your heart or out to the sides like an airplane. Connect the palms at heart center. Gently step your left toes back. Nice work. Come on up to the top of your mat and shake it out a little bit. All right, find mountain pose. Find that nice, strong core once again. And remember, if you need to stick the tailbone out and do this little scooping that's very similar to what they do in Pilates, you're welcome to do that. Nice. Arms are down by your sides. Inhale and sweep the arms up. Exhale and sit back for Utkatasana, or fierce pose. Bring your palms together in prayer in front of your heart. And then gently, we're going to twist towards the left, bringing the right elbow either to the top of the thigh or maybe to the outside of the left thigh as we twist. These kinds of deep compressing twists are activating right around the solar plexus where that third chakra area is. Stay strong and steady. Start to pour your weight into your left foot. See if you can step your right foot back to a high lunge. Maybe you can step the foot right back, or maybe you need to take a few steps. If you have to let your hands go in order to do this, that's totally fine. We're going to end up in a twisted lunge with the left shoulder pulling on the back. Bring your gaze to your front foot. Pour your weight into that left foot as you step the right foot forward. We're going to stay nice and strong through center as we work our way to the other side. And remember, you're being kind to yourself, so if you need to take a break and straighten the legs, go for it. Otherwise, we've got the left arm on the outside of the right knee. We're pulling the right shoulder back for this twist. Take a look down at your feet. Pour your weight into the right foot as the left foot steps back for a lunge. And make this lunge your own. So if you need to scoot your right foot more towards the edge of the mat, do that. If you have to free your hands to the floor to adjust, go for it. Nice and strong through the center, hugging in at the belly and at the thighs. Take a look down at your front foot. Pour your weight into it as you step the back foot forward and unwind to center, extending the arms out. Nice job. All right, lift the heels up. So you're on your toes, you're hugging in at the shins. We're gonna start to straighten the legs, extending the arms up, making ourselves as long and tall as we can. You're up on your heels, breathing. Exhale to release. Shake it out. Nice work. Let's go down and start cooling down. Nothing fancy to get down here. Just come and have a seat on the floor. Nice work. Excellent effort and good job making choices for yourself tonight that are going to work for you. All right, so now that we've really got the core warmed up, we should explore boat pose again, right? So sit up nice and tall. Half of you are saying yes, the other half are like, no. But it's all right, so do what works best for you. Core is engaged, low belly tucked in, ribs tucked, hands behind the thighs. Gently sit back, see if you can get your feet up. Nice. Make sure you can breathe. If you're struggling for breath, give yourself a break. Otherwise, breathe deeply here. Maybe shins come to parallel. For an added challenge, you can free your hands. And if you want even more of a challenge, I invite you to clasp your hands up ahead of you, kind of at a diagonal. As you exhale, we'll bring the fists over to the right hip and turn towards the right. Inhale to come back to center. Exhale, we'll go to the left. Turning to the left, hands come to the left hip. Inhale to come back to center. Take your time here. Exhale, work your way over to the right. Feel free to come out of this whenever you need to. Inhale back to center. Last time, over to the left. And inhale back to center. Release the hands. And then exhale, come to a cross-legged seat, sitting up nice and tall. Nice work. All right. So from here, extend your left leg out and place the sole of the right foot on the inside of the left thigh. Make sure the weight is even between both of your hips, and then turn your torso towards the extended leg. As you exhale, hinge forward, letting the torso stay aligned with this left leg. And your hands can go wherever you like. So maybe you can reach your foot, but certainly the shin, the floor, the thigh are also great places to reach. On an inhale, reach through your fingertips, come all the way up. And then gently, right fingertips come directly behind the low back on the floor. Left hand comes to the bent knee. Your right hand is very close to the body, but connected to the mat like a little kickstand to prop you up. As you inhale, you're sitting up taller. As you exhale, you're twisting towards the right, staying strong in the belly. Remembering the ribs, the core. Left hand stays on the bent knee. Inhale to reach the right fingertips up overhead towards the extended leg. Don't worry about how far away that foot is. We're really just trying to open up the right side of the body. Inhale to come back to center. Plant your right hand on the floor, just out from the bent knee. Shift your weight onto your front shin. Reach the left arm up as you straighten the left leg out for fallen star. And in this posture, we're really trying to open up, stretch through the torso, left side body. Exhale to release your hips back down to the mat. And we'll switch sides. So right leg goes out, left foot goes on the inner thigh. Do any adjusting you need to get nice and even. And remember, if this knee is up really high and it feels good to have a block here or a blanket, do that. That's a great idea. Remember, stability, strength, that's what we're looking for here in this core class. Sit up nice and tall. Turn your torso towards the extended leg. Exhale and reach forward. Maybe you can grab the foot, the shin, or the floor. But keep the hips rooted here. Think about lengthening the spine out of the hips as you inhale and then folding a little bit further as you exhale. On an inhale, lift your torso back up. This time, left fingertips come directly behind you, right hand on the bent knee. Inhale to find a nice tall spine. Ribs stay tucked. Exhale to twist towards the left. Keep your right hand on the bent knee. Inhale to sweep the left arm up overhead, reaching towards that extended foot, stretching through the left side body. Inhale to come back to center. Left hand connects to the floor outside the bent knee. Shift your weight onto the front shin. We're straightening the right leg, sweeping the right arm up overhead for fallen star on this side, really trying to create space and openness through the obliques, the right side of the abdominals. Exhale to bring the hips back down to the floor. All right, nice work. From here, scoot on up to the top of your mat. We're going to have both knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. Sit up nice and tall like we do for boat pose. And then once again, engage your abdominal muscles. So pull the low belly, tuck the ribs, extend your arms out in front of you with lots of space between your ears and shoulders. Keep your feet rooted. So the soles of your feet are going to stay on the mat. And as you exhale, we're going to slowly lower the spine down to the floor using the abdominal muscles. And eventually you might get to a point where you're like, whoo, I just gotta lay down. And that's totally fine. Do your best to keep the soles of your feet connected to the mat. But once you're laying down on the floor, make any adjustments that you need to really be able to enjoy feeling this firm support of the floor beneath you. Make sure your shoulders are down away from your ears. And your feet are walked in towards your body a bit. Knees are bent deeply. Feet are hips distance apart. Arms are down by your sides with your palms face down. And we're going to prepare for bridge pose here. So knees are aligned over the ankles. Press into the feet and use your core and your hips and glutes to lift the hips up. Keep looking straight up towards the ceiling. Keep lifting the hips. If it feels like it might help to walk your feet a little closer to your body so you can get more lift, do that. But pay attention, and if it's like, oh, when you do that, maybe if it bothers your knee a little bit, then back off of it, or really enjoy this extra space. As you exhale, vertebra by vertebra, slowly lower your spine back down to the mat. And then hug your knees in towards your chest. And gently rock from side to side or front to back. Place your hands around your right shin as you extend your left leg straight out on the mat. Flex your left foot, and on an inhale, reach your left arm up overhead. And release your right arm down by your side. So right arm down by the side, right knee is in. Left leg is extended, left arm is extended. Engage your abdominal muscles here. So maybe you're just kind of laying here, hanging out. See if you can get some engagement. You might need to scoop the tailbone. It might end up lifting your left foot off of the mat a little bit. Nice and strong in the belly, pressing the low back into the floor. On an exhale, we're going to switch sides. So reach the right arm up overhead. Extend the right leg straight out. Hug the left knee in towards the chest. Left arm is down by your side, strong in the belly. We'll do it again. Switch sides. Inhale. Left arm up overhead. Right knee in towards the chest. Once again, exhale. Switch sides. Left arm is down by your side. Left knee is in. Right leg is straight. One more time, each side. Exhale. Hugging the right knee in. Straightening the left leg. And last time on this side, bring the left knee in. Extend the right leg. Nice and long. Hug both knees in towards your chest, and again, rock from side to side or front and back. Lower your feet down to the floor, and then let your feet be wide on the mat. So bringing your feet out to the edges, release your arms down by your sides, and just gently windshield wiper your legs from side to side. So that means your feet stay connected to the mat, but you're kind of rolling to the edges of the feet, and you're letting your knees first go over to one side and then over to the other side. Hug your knees in towards your chest. One more time. And from here, we're going to move into Shavasana. And your options for Shavasana are to have your feet together and your knees wide. Another option is to have your feet wide and knees together. And a traditional Shavasana has the legs extended with your feet mat width apart, and your feet are just relaxed off to the sides. Whatever version of Shavasana you're taking, your shoulders are nestled down on the back, arms are down by your sides with your palms face up, and your arms are well off of your mat, so the backs of your hands are connected to the floor. Close your eyes, connect with your breath, and enjoy these moments of peace after all of this strength, willpower, and confidence you've been building through class tonight. Slowly allow your breath to deepen. And bring a little bit of movement back into your toes and your fingers. A little bit of wiggling to bring some presence back. On an inhale, extend your arms up overhead and reach your legs out nice and long for one long final stretch, reaching from your fingertips all the way down to your toes. And this is meant to really stretch your abdominals. Really take advantage of it, reaching. And then bring your knees in towards your chest and gently roll onto your right side. Using as little effort as possible and keeping your eyes closed, make your way up to a seat. And sit up nice and tall like we did in the beginning. See if you can find some abdominal engagement here to help with the stability and integrity of your seat. I'm hoping that you're feeling really good about the effort that you put into class tonight, or that the choices that you made to make this practice your own. Being a beginning yoga class does not mean that it's easy, but it does mean that it's something that you can accomplish, whether it's tonight or with some more practice. So I hope you're feeling good about it, and that you can take this idea of core engagement and apply it everywhere. It doesn't have to be in the yoga practice. It can be when you're driving your car, when you're doing chores around the house, when you're playing your favorite sport, picking up your grandkids, shoveling snow, whatever it looks like. These muscles are always available to you. Not only when you engage them are you being more stable and preventing injury, but you're also strengthening those muscles. So isn't that a great thing? We'll close our practice tonight by chanting the Sound of Ohm together, and we'll chant it just one time. Bring your palms together in prayer in front of your heart. Again, still nice and strong in the belly, sitting up nice and tall. And you can chant as loudly or softly as you would like, but remember this is our last class, and we just stoked some inner fire and got some willpower going, so maybe this one's a little louder than usual. All right, one Ohm. Take a full exhale. And an inhale for Ohm. The light in me honors and acknowledges the light in each of you with great respect. Namaste. Don't forget, you've always got that strength within you. You just have to tap into it. Thanks for coming to class and for joining me.